Hey guys, today I want to talk to you about fear. What overcoming fear looks like, what can you overcome fear, how to deal with being afraid of the worst outcome and not wanting to manifest that, anger. These are two things that actually go really hand in hand, and interestingly enough, I just started this recording. I'm on my phone today. My computer's just, I can't deal with it. And I started the recording and it got interrupted by a flash flood warning. So we might have some really cool thunderstorm ASMR going in the background, but hopefully recording on my phone goes well for us because I'm really excited about this video. So let me jump right into it. I'm gonna start off by, it's getting crazy outside. I'm gonna start off by reading an excerpt from my fave, Florence Scovel Schinn. I am specifically going to be reading, this is a trilogy of books in this book, but from the Game of Life and How to Play It, and this is the chapter on perfect self-expression or the divine design. So she says that anger blurs the visions, poisons the blood, and is the root of many diseases, and causes wrong decision leading to failure. It has been named one of the worst sins as its reaction is so harmful. The student learns that in metaphysics, sin has a much broader meaning than the old teaching. Whoever is not of faith is sin. Now, I thought we were talking about fear. We're going to get there. I wanted to read this little excerpt because I want to introduce this idea around sin and what it actually is, or what you can perceive it to be. I guess I'm not going to say what anything actually is, but I like this perception that I have come to learn on my own through some friends teaching me about this, and then I'm seeing it reflected in this book, which is so cool. I was raised Catholic, so I had a much different understanding of terminology, and I have a really reconditioned or relearned, I don't know the best word for it, just learned new ways to look at things and identify things. So if you had a similar upbringing to me and you're used to the traditional Christian terminology that to sin is to like do a bad act or do something that is inherently bad or evil, Florence Scovel Schinn aside, it was presented to me that sin is not truly this. It is more, if you think of like a fruit, how unripe is the fruit. So basically just saying that you, a being or a thing, a consciousness, is just not ripe yet. It is not there yet. And then to hear Florence Scovel Schinn say, that it has a much broader meaning, whoever is not of faith is sin, it can be hard because we use that word in such a negative way, but it's basically just saying that you haven't come to that full ripeness yet, that you're not fully in your faith, and that you are in any state other than faith. So think about that one, see how it feels to you. But then she goes on to say, he finds that fear and worry are deadly sins. They are inverted faith, and through distorted mental pictures bring to pass the thing he fears. His work is to drive out these enemies from the subconscious mind. Now, I love this because I think of the quote from Dune, where it's on my phone, so I could read from it, but since I'm recording on my phone, I can't do that today. So you can look it up, the fear quote from Dune, where he says fear is the mind killer, and it's a much bigger quote, but we see even in the first movie that he's flying that dragonfly plane, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it by now, and it's he can't see where he's going, and he can basically crash this thing and they're not gonna survive, right? So he has to erase the fear from his mind, and then he like tunes into his intuition and he just kind of knows where to go. I think it's been a little while. I saw it in theaters and that was pretty much it. But then also I think of Star Wars, Yoda's quote, which again, I don't have it exactly in front of me, but how is it like anger leads to fear and fear leads to, or is it fear leads to anger and that leads to the dark side? Basically saying that these things go hand in hand. I can't remember the exact order. I know that the last one is the dark side, but I think it's, you know what? I think it's anger leads to fear and fear leads to hatred and hatred leads to the dark side. Something like that. Hatred's in there, but basically saying that these things lead hand in hand and then put you in a state of manifesting those very things. So she goes on to say that, well, she quotes somebody else, Maeterlinck, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, says that man is God afraid. And I just think that's a very interesting, like, existential thought to have, that we are these physical manifestations of source, of God, of infinite intelligence, and we have this sense of separation. That is kind of what our existence is embodying, at least in this current lifetime. And we're always playing out our fear, right? Because we are trying to come in to a state of faith. We're trying to come into that oneness and that trust. I think that's something that a lot of us work towards, whether we realize it or not. And yeah, we are infinite intelligence, too afraid to be in alignment with, I guess, the truest sense of peace and happiness, which is that achievable on this planet in this lifetime? Who's to say? Okay, so then she goes on to say, so as we read in the previous chapters, man can only vanquish fear by walking up to the thing he is afraid of. And I like that she uses the example of Jehoshaphat, which I quoted in one of the other videos, that when Jehoshaphat and his army prepared to meet the enemy, singing, "Praise the Lord, for his mercy endureth forever," they found that their enemies had destroyed each other and there was nothing to fight. And then she goes on to give further examples of people facing their fears, and you basically realize that when you actually go to face your fear, the situation has already resolved itself or somehow shifted in a way that you are not going to be encountering that fear. I think she goes on to give an example of like a woman, somebody asks her, hey, will you go deliver this message to this other person? And she doesn't want to be the delivery person of this message because she feels it's going to involve her in a conflict and she gets fearful, but she had agreed to it. And she just like sinks into faith that everything is going to be okay for her and that she can handle whatever it is that she's afraid of. If it does come to pass, she has faith that it's going to be okay and she's going to be just fine. And it's like she goes to do it and the original person was like, hey, you actually don't have to give that message for me anymore. That person like moved away, so it's just not necessary. But it was like, I don't know, maybe if she hadn't decided that, she would stay aligned in a universe where she ended up in that conflict, right? You think, oh my gosh, I'm going to end up in this conflict. So what I want to talk about today is fear as I've been, but I want to shift it into a personal example before I then kind of like go into my thoughts too much about it. So I have been making a lot of major life changes in my life, and I've talked about them here. Now, one thing I haven't gone too deep on is the progress that I'm making in my personal relationships, and specifically in my, I don't know if it's like desire, or I don't know the correct word to use here, but yeah, I guess like my desire or my wish is probably better, a wish to have like a really serious, committed romantic partner, like a life partner, and have a family and a future with this person, whatever that looks like for us. And those things have been slowly developing in my reality, And you know, like, it's like I can't really get too into it because things are still in this like formation process. So there's like, it feels to me that I don't have anything concrete to talk about. And I know, I'm sure that's probably not true, but that's the way I feel. And I personally don't feel comfortable talking about things until I've seen like a certain, I wanted to say like level of success, but I suppose what I should say instead is like I don't know, it's almost like if I was knitting a sweater and I showed you that I had like this much done, and then, you know, like maybe a month later you're like, hey, how's that sweater coming? And I don't really want to show it to you until I have like this much done. I'm just gonna be like, yeah, I'm working on it, like it's on its way, it's gonna get there, but like I'm gonna wait to show you until I've got more progress. That's how I feel about this. So in relation to that situation that I am personally working on, I am overcoming a lot of negative narratives that I have perpetuated in my life in regards to my relationships, my romantic relationships. And I've been finding, oh my gosh, it's like hard to organize my thoughts because my brain's just like all over the place with this. But I have found that I am choosing faith more and more as I have, this is actually very easy to say, I definitely am choosing faith more and more as I have put the focus on myself and really come into that sense of self and security within myself, that I am, you know, honestly perfect just the way I am, and that anything else that I align with is just a fantastic experience to have. But I've been really focusing on being that core structure for myself. So that being said, it has been easier as these triggers and, you know, upsets and turbulence and old energies come up for witnessing and healing for me to overcome them. I still have to do the work of overcoming them and walking myself through all of this discomfort, or at least just holding myself in the space to let it move and transform, and holding faith that it's going to transform, and that, you know, no matter what that transformation looks like, I know who I am and where I am. It's been a challenge. I want to say it's been like brutal, but I've been equipped for it. And I've made it through it. So I've been really holding a positive mindset, and really working with kind of like the law of expectation and really shifting things into bit by bit. How can I imagine, anticipate, and feel comfortable holding that expectation, what feels like hope, for more for me, you know, pushing my reality just a little bit at a time. And what was really interesting is, like I said, you know, this is something that I've been struggling with and that I've made a lot of progress, right? Well, last night I did something very interesting. I decided to watch A Quiet Place Part 2. I haven't watched the first one since it was in theaters, and I've been like wanting to watch the second one. I don't really like spooky horror movies. I like thrillers. I love alien movies. I love action. I love suspense. But I don't know if you've seen those movies. They do a really good job of putting you into the space, into the energy of the film. And so I was in this very stressful, heightened state watching this movie for like an hour and 40 minutes, right? Like 2 hours. And I was in this stressed state. And what I witnessed within my own thoughts was that I put my body on high alert because I get very into like what I'm watching. I get like, so sorry, it looked like someone just got in my car, but there's like an almost identical car parked next to mine, and I was just like, no, don't, what is going on? But I put myself in this heightened state, right? And then, wouldn't you know it, guess who started having some little fear-based thinking about this person in my reality? And I was like, huh, interesting. I recognized it right away, because I'm literally scared for the characters in the movie, you know, and all of a sudden I'm starting to have fears for myself. And I was like, wow. So my brain has activated that survival mode, which if you're doing a lot of healing work like I've been doing, that is like the goal, is to get out of survival mode into faith and ease and abundance and, you know, just some peace, right? Peace. And I know that you can like look at my life as it is on the internet and probably think that it seems very peaceful and chill and calm, and for the most part it is, but that doesn't mean that my brain has aligned with that. For the most part it has. But if you've been watching my channel, you know that like I was in an automobile accident. It was like the oldest way that I could have said that. And you know, that really threw my nervous system for a loop, and overall I have made significant progress keeping my nervous system in a really healthy place. But I just really wanted to share this observation with you guys, because if your brain, I guess what I'm trying to say here, it's like still in my head and I haven't actually vocalized it, is that when you are doing this work of wanting to overcome fear state, you need to, I love thunder, you need to really look at how you are physically taking care of yourself and what your environment is. If you are in an environment where you don't feel safe and you cannot feel comfortable and you always are in that survival mode, you're going to be fighting an uphill battle. Right? Doesn't it make sense? You're going to be fighting an uphill battle in terms of trying to create a positive story because you don't have the foundation set. So when I talk about foundation set, it doesn't just mean the core beliefs within you, although obviously that is what is going to manifest outward, like, but you can interact with your 3D to create that. You know, you don't just have to do the inner work. You can also go and be like, well, I deserve to have nicer sheets or nicer towels or a cleaner apartment, and I'm gonna start cleaning more regularly. Or I deserve to have new dishes, or I deserve to keep the air a little bit cooler and pay a little bit more on my electric bill, you know, so that I'm comfortable. I deserve to have nicer shoes. I don't know, you know, like whatever it is for you in your life that you're skimping on, what you feel that you deserve out of fear or scarcity, slowly chipping away at that is going to go hand in hand with you creating a new stable structure for yourself. Now the downside to me recording on my phone is that I can't just pause it anytime I want, and I hate editing videos. I won't do it. It's like I'll stop making videos altogether if I have to go in and edit anything. It's not me. It's not for me. And it's 18 minutes and I want to wrap this up. I have so many thoughts. I'm probably just gonna continue them in a second video that'll come out later this week. How about we do that? Okay, I will leave you guys with this. I'm gonna go collect my thoughts and you will hear the rest of them. And I'm not gonna say, I was about to say what I think I'm gonna be talking about, like as it pertains to, but I'm not gonna speak too soon on that. So let me know your thoughts. Let me know how you guys are doing. Update personally is that things are going well. Things are just still going. Yeah. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know your thoughts on this video. Do you guys like when I read the quotes from, I know some of you have already said that you really liked me sharing quotes from Florence Scovel Schinn. I am ordering a Neville Goddard book soon. I don't know why, but like my intuition is just like, it's sitting in my cart, but it's like, just hold off for a little bit. So that's going to be coming soon-ish in the somewhat near future, and I will start sharing his teachings on this channel as well. But yeah, I like doing a little, you know, kind of like these, like, here's this person's teaching on this, here's my personal experience, and here's my thoughts. So let me know your thoughts. Do you like this format? What do you want to see more of? I guess what do you want to see less of? And let me know how you're doing. Thank you so much for tuning in.